Hello everybody, good morning and welcome to the United Stand. This is your latest Manchester United news. It's Friday. It means we've got Ralf's presser coming up a bit later. It means we've got a match tomorrow. So lots to be excited about this Friday morning. Lots to talk about. And the big story I want to lead on is Ralf Rangnick's transfer request from Manchester United. This is something that is vindication, I would say, in many ways, because I think we spoke about this middle of December, about the January transfer window. And it probably hasn't gone the way we expected it to go, considering it's nearly halfway through January. But what we did say middle of December was expectation that United will bring one player in and it will be a midfielder and will move at least two out. I still think that will happen. I think the transfer window opens, a couple of weeks go by and people start to panic. But the January transfer window very much is about the last week of the window. And as we know, United are not playing on the last weekend of the window. So it really allows them to focus on transfers, moving people out, moving people in. So where is this coming from? We're also going to be talking about Donny van der Beek. We're going to be talking about a Ronaldo injury scare, which I'll give you the update for now. Ahmed, Henderson, Pereira. Also a couple of big announcements for you as well. Two big announcements for you today, which I know what one of them is. What's the other one? I'm trying to think what the other one is. I can't think what the other one is. We'll come back to that. Ronaldo injury scare. There's a little bit of news coming out this morning from the Express that Ronaldo was sent home early with a problem with his thigh again yesterday. We don't actually expect this to be anything significant. It might just been that Ronaldo was actually first day back training properly, was never meant to train properly anyway, like half a day or something like that. So we've got Rangnick's press conference at lunchtime. We'll get an update on Ronaldo then. And I would imagine they'll probably leave it open anyway because they don't want Villa to know whether he's going to start or not. So we'll find out about Ronaldo in due course. But I expect Ronaldo to be playing. So let's not make a big drama out of that one. In 12 months, I've spent £135. In December, I politely asked why my super chat's never read. You're supposed to be fly away, Paul, not cool marks. As Paul needs. I don't know what you're talking about, Paul, but it's a morning show, and this ain't the politics show, and I'm not Boris Johnson. Like, if you've got an issue with something, now is not the time. Putting it in an email, I don't even know what you're talking about. Anyway, let's get on with the show. Some of the complaints will be false. Let's talk about the Ralf Rangnick transfer request. This is something that we've spoken about quite a lot over the last sort of 4 or 5 weeks. I believe United will bring a midfielder in. I know Ralf Rangnick wants a midfielder. Last week in his press conference, he spoke about he's got to get by with what he's got, but he needs a midfielder in so many words, in what was a brilliant press conference last week. So I'm hoping we're going to get another one this week. But this is coming from The Athletic. Rangnick does want a central midfielder to come this month, and there are talks in work for it. I've heard of a couple of names, but I want to make a few more checks before naming them. Now, that's from The Athletic, and that is from Laurie Whitwell. Now, look, we've been doing this show long enough. I think some of these journalists get annoyed when we talk about them, but then at the end of the day, it's journalism. If you put your name to an article or I do a video and I say something, then you can be held to account for that. Like Chris Smalling, Van Dijk is just an overpriced Dutch Chris Smalling. I said that when Liverpool bought Van Dijk. I've got to live by it. And the reality is, it's all about perception. And when it comes to Laurie Whitwell and The Athletic, I've been saying for quite a while, since The Athletic came to the UK and since they signed up people like David Ornstein and lots of others, Laurie Whitwell to me is a journalist that gets a lot of his information directly from the club. I wouldn't say he's a puppet for the club, but I think he's somebody that maintains a very good relationship with the club. And you're never going to get Laurie Whitwell put something out today saying the Glazers are a disgrace, Woodward's a disgrace, Arnold's a disgrace, Ollie was a crap manager, and half that team needs booting out. He wouldn't do that because it would upset the club. And there's nothing wrong with that. Some people call Simon Stone a tap-in BBC journalist, but he's not a tap-in. He just, BBC wants to be credible, Simon Stone wants to be credible, so they only ever put stuff out when they absolutely know it's true. You get other journalists who are a bit hit and miss. So the encouraging thing about this is that I feel that this will probably have come from the club, that we want a midfielder, and the fact that we are hearing this in the middle of January, it is very, very interesting indeed. And I think that what we've got to look at here is who the midfielder is going to be, and more importantly, whether Ralf Rangnick is going to get that midfielder. So Athletic are saying that Rangnick wants a midfielder and he wants one this month. It's not breaking news, but it's vindication news, because it backs up what many of you want, what we and others have been talking about for a while. and that this story that United don't expect to bring anyone in January, to me, I think that's just typical Manchester United, who probably would like to bring a player in January, but are concerned that they might not bring a player in January. United are never going to go, we want a midfielder in January, and we're going to get one before we've got one, because I wouldn't expect them to do that. We moan about Manchester United a lot, but to be fair to them, judge it on a case-by-case basis. We have got a lot of cases wrong. We have got some right. And at the end of the day, if we want a midfielder in January, the worst thing we could do is say, yeah, mate, we want one. We want one in January. They're going to keep it on the download, and I think that we will get one. Now, who we're going to get, I don't know. Kyrios says he's watching with a cup of paint. If you know, you know. Who we're going to get, I don't know. I would hope it's going to be Zakaria, but a couple of names are in the ether, apparently. What's without doubt is here, before we move on, is that, and the story I take away from this, and I said this a few days ago as well, is that Ralf Rangnick wants a midfielder this month. Why does he want a midfielder this month? Well, it's very obvious. Our midfield's not good enough. And also, even if you think it is good enough, which amazes me, but even if you think our midfield is good enough to get top four, he never picks Donny, who we're going to talk about in a minute. Matic just ain't up to it anymore. So basically our midfield is Fred and McTominay. One of them gets injured or suspended, like we have tomorrow, you've got to play Matic. Like, that's not enough. He's not got the cover, even if he likes what he's got. So he must get a midfielder this month. He wants a midfielder this month. Midfielders that he wants are available this month. So realistically, the only conversation here is, or view you need to take is, you're the board. Come on then. It's as simple as that. Are the board going to deliver? Not what the fans want. You know, the board don't always deliver what the fans want. You know, we're probably right, but they don't deliver what the fans want. What the manager wants, what the manager needs, and what the club requires if it wants to be in the race for top four. We must get a midfielder in the next couple of weeks. So let's wait and see what happens. But encouraging, and definitely the lead story for me this morning, when you've got somebody, a journalist who's very, very comfortable with the club, saying that we want a midfielder. That, to me, is vindication on what we've been talking about for the last few weeks. So thank you very much for that news, I suppose. Let's move on to the... I don't know why people are putting free Paul. Paul is not he's not trapped. He's just been a prat, basically. Trying to make the show all about him when we're doing a morning show. If Paul wants his vindication, let's talk about that at 8 o'clock. But I'm not talking about bloody Paul now when we're doing a show on a morning show. Grow up. So let's talk about Donny van der Beek. Now, this is quite an interesting story. And again, I know it was spoken about last night by Adam and Levin and Beth and Kev. But in relation to Donny van der Beek, there was a story that Manchester United have not made a decision on Donny van der Beek yet. Donny van der Beek wants to leave. Ralf Rangnick wants Donny van der Beek to stay until the summer. But Manchester United have not made a decision on Donny van der Beek yet as to what they're going to allow to happen. So I think that this is quite interesting because, you know, where do you sit on Donny van der Beek now? Let me know in the chat, because I'm like, I really am. Look, he's not going to start the game tomorrow. I think those days probably went on for too long. Free Donny, play Donny. I don't think that's wrong. I really do think that it's sorry, I'm just putting a tweet out. It's really, I don't think it's ever wrong to say that we have misused Donny van der Beek. My biggest issue with Donny van der Beek is not that whether he's good enough. I think he is good enough, but that's speculation. It's a prediction. My issue with Donny van der Beek is that I don't think he's ever been given a run in the team. But I don't expect him to play tomorrow. So where are we now with Donny van der Beek? Rice is overpriced and we don't need another 5-year contract and then watch 90 minutes of crap, says Apollo. And all our midfield searches are triple A's. Zakaria, Hadara, Kamara. Hopefully we follow this trend with Haaland, says Ricardo. There's plenty of midfielders available for reasonable prices. And you know what? People talk about the AFCON. Can I just say the AFCON is completely irrelevant. It really is irrelevant. We don't actually need to focus on the AFCON at all. We, in the sense that we don't need to focus on the AFCON being a negative thing. I think some people have said Bissouma's at the AFCON, Hadira's at the AFCON. There's a couple of others we've been linked to are at the AFCON. But the AFCON's going to basically be over by the first week of February. We've got 3 games and then we don't play again until we play Middlesbrough in the Cup. So we probably wouldn't need our new midfielder unless they were coming in today until early February, by which time the AFCON's over anyway. So this whole let's not get Hadira because he's playing in the AFCON, it doesn't actually matter because, you know, unless he's going to play tomorrow or against Brentford or West Ham, we don't play again until February the 6th or February the 4th against Borough in the Cup. So we could go for this. There's plenty of options out there. But bringing it back to Donny van der Beek, there is talk of a loan to Dortmund. There is talk of a loan to Newcastle. Manchester United do not want to loan Donny van der Beek. They don't want to do that. Basically, they want their cake and eat it. They're spinning too many plates, as we've said before. But they're doing it because they want a big squad. But what United don't realise is, and I understand why Rangnick's doing it. Rangnick's doing it because if McTominay and Fred get injured, I'll have to pick Donny. It's not. He doesn't want to. I'll have to pick Donny. At least he's there. But that's not fair on Donny van der Beek. And I think this is the situation with Anthony Martial. And it's funny because we had that story yesterday about Dean Henderson and how, you know, he stormed out of training, this, that and the other. Now, I'm not disputing the fact that he probably did do that. But the reality is yesterday the training pictures come out and Dean Henderson's there with Anthony Martial and Ahmed and a few other players winning team in training. Now, I can't stand those pictures. I cannot stand them. I know a lot of you like them. Fine. It's all about opinion. But, we're a shit football club at the moment. And we're constantly putting pictures out of winning team on social media. But that's up to the players, that's up to them to do that. You know, life's for living, life's for a bit of fun, that's fine. My point is, you got Martial and Dean Henderson smiling in training yesterday. This is not the war that people think it is in the dressing room. It's snake war. It's behind the scenes war. It's stab in the back war. It's leak war. That's what's going on at Manchester United. So I don't really think that, we've got this issue whereby Donny van der Beek or anyone else is just going to down tools. They're going to still turn up to training. They're going to still smile if their team wins in a training match. And I think what United are doing is they're just basically saying, we want to keep what we've got. It's easier than letting people go and buying people. It's less work for us. But if I'm Donny van der Beek, I'm wanting to leave in January, much the same as Dean Henderson and Anthony Martial is. And it's not Rangnick's fault. Rangnick is using them the same way as Ollie did. But they've had 2 years of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer not really using them. So I think with Donny, it's an interesting one. I don't really know how to read the situation with Donny now. I think thinking about it, and I'm doing this on the hop, thinking about Donny van der Beek, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think probably if the situation is this, and I think we have to believe the situation is this, that Rangnick doesn't want to start him in the midfield, he'd rather pick McTominay and Fred. Well, if that's the sentence, then you've got to go. And he's got to push to go. I don't think he can say, I'll give it another 4 months, because there's no logic. He's given it the first 4 months of the season, still not playing. He's given it the first 6 weeks of Rangnick, still not playing. He gave it last season, still not playing. He basically has been at this club for nearly 2 years and wasted 2 years of his career. At a really important time. He's not 28, he's 25. He's wasted 23 to 25. That's big development years. And he's got to go now. He's got to go yesterday. So I think Donny van der Beek has to push the move. There's no point in us going, well, let's see what happens tomorrow if he gets picked. He didn't start him in an FA Cup game at home. Like, if he's not going to start him in the FA Cup at home, he's not going to start him. So for me, as regrettable as it is to say this, you've got to look at things logically. We're not the manager, we're not the coach. We can't pick the team. I think most United fans would say, before we sell Donny, I'd like to see him have a run of 5 games in a row. Fred's had more than that, McTominay's had more than that, Matic has had more than that. Give him a run of 5 games, and if he doesn't play well, let him go. Unfortunately, no manager will do that, so I think we've just got to let him go, and I think he's got a force for the move. It's sad, and it will always be sad, because we've never given him a run in. And look, I don't believe he's a 10. I really don't believe he's a 10. I think he can play there. From what I've seen of him, I think his best position is in the midfield too. Obviously, preferably next to a proper CDM. But I think Fred and Donny works well. I think Matic and Donny would work well as well. Hi, Mark. Can you give a couple of names of who we're interested in? Hope all is well with you, says Paul O'Brien. I don't have a couple of names, Paul. I mean, I know we are definitely interested in Zakaria. It's whether that interest will move on further than that. Donny didn't sign himself, United did. He was in the Ajax team, now never plays. If I was him, he should go on strike to rescue his career, says Joseph. And my question to Ralf would be, why on earth would you send a player on loan about whom you've just said a few days ago? My question to Ralf would be, why on earth would you send a player on loan about whom you said a few days ago had better control, and Ralf since the beginning wants control? Well, look, Pranay, I mean, look, there is a glimmer of hope, and the glimmer of hope is that, you know, Donny came on at the weekend again on Monday night and played very well. As I said, I can show you something here that I had up yesterday. That's how I would play against Villa. You know, I would go for that sort of fullbacks pushing forward, midfield three of Fred, Matic and Donny, and then Bruno, Sancho and Ronaldo. You know, we're away from home against a team that dominated us in the midfield, and Juan Mata hasn't got the legs, but Nemanja Matic hasn't got the legs. So what's the best way to support Nemanja Matic? Is to put some legs next to him, which is Fred and Donny, and I think it would work really, really well. But I don't know. If Donny wants to leave, yet United don't let him leave, what does that say about the whole situation? Just hope that he could be given a chance, as Salah Ahmed. Man United definitely want to keep players that they're not going to use Salah. That's the problem, you know, that they do. And I've heard a lot of people say, would you use Anthony Martial? I would use Anthony Martial. I think, you know, the way that Rashford's playing at the moment, one thing about Anthony Martial is he doesn't get his head down and try and run past 4 or 5 players and shoot from 30 yards. Martial does like to link up the play. I think we're desperate for that. But I don't think Martial wants to stay anymore, because I think he's been through the Donny situation where you just don't get starts, rightly or wrongly. And I think Martial doesn't want to go back playing on the left wing either. So I don't see Martial staying. I think he will go. Also, let me just give you an update on Ahmed. Ahmed was meant to be going on loan to Birmingham. That fell through. Wayne Rooney, Derby, has said it's very unlikely that's going to happen. So does that mean Ahmed's going to Feyenoord again? I mean, failing with Feyenoord, I would say. How have we not got a championship club for Ahmed? He's fucking playing in the Premier League. We've spent £35 million on him. He's going to be playing for Manchester United in Manchester in the Premier League. That's the plan. Why are we sending him to the bloody Dutch league? Get him a club in the Championship. Why can't... You know, Rooney basically said we'd love to have him, so why can't we just gift them to... You know, is it about the money? Like, the best... And Romano said the other day, Ahmad's preference is to stay in England. So Ahmed wants to stay in England. We've got clubs who want him in England. Why are United not letting him go to England? Like, I mean, look, if he goes to Dortmund, I'll take it. I'd much rather he went to the Championship. But if he goes to Feyenoord, that's a bloody joke. I'm sorry, the Dutch league. I mean, we've just spent 5 minutes talking about Donny van der Beek, who was brilliant in the Dutch league and can't play for United. Now, I don't think there is a correlation between that, but there might be a hint of, let's not try that again. You know, he's got to come and either go to a top European club and play, or he's got to go to the Championship. But again, it's a simple loan deal, and it's drifting. I mean, I personally would give him a start for United. You know, I personally think he's... Look, people forget he played as a false 9 against Wolves back 3 at the end of last season, and it wasn't a Wolves reserve side. So I actually think Ahmed should be getting more game time than anyway. But if he goes to Feyenoord, I think that's... if he goes to Feyenoord, I don't think he's going to make it. I'm sure Ahmad's training at the moment, but I'm telling you now, Ahmed, if you allow yourself to go to Holland, or the Netherlands as they call themselves, I don't see your career working out, mate. You're better than that. You're going to go and waste... Get yourself in the Championship or get yourself to Dortmund, but don't go to bloody Feyenoord. We aren't taking prisoners here. If they want to leave because of game time, let them go. Rangnick should stop talking about this nonsense rotation if he keeps picking the same players, says Kent. And the direction of the club is going like global warming, getting worse and worse every year, but not enough people are putting emphasis on it, says Julian. No, people are too busy in fighting about whose opinion's better and whose opinion's more valid, and you know what a real fan is and all this, that, and the other. I just can't be doing with that. It's not relevant to me. You know, I think our fan base is the best. I think we've got amazing match day support. I think we've got amazing worldwide support, and I think everybody I speak to about Manchester United on footballing matters really, really does care. But unity, it's out the window because everyone's got their own idea of what unity should be. And actually, it's very, very simple. Do you love this football club? Are you a United fan? Accept everybody's going to have different opinions and just get on with supporting the football club. But we will never get, and as you quite rightly say, it's not even just the Glazers. It's not just I think everyone goes, well, it's the Glazers. Of course, they've got to take total control because they are in control. But Ed Woodward was a massive problem and had too much power. There's too many people in that football club who are not good enough for the job that they've got, but are mates with him and been here for years, give him this job. We over-promote for a start. You can be in a relatively normal role at the club and the next minute you can be, in a very powerful role. Recruitment of people because they played for the club, absolute joke, I'm still waiting for the day where they give they ring up Rio Ferdinand and say, do you want to be a first team coach? And as much as he's not a bad pundit, he's got no CV. So, I just, some people might agree with that. You might fancy that or a Gary Neville coming in as a sporting director or something like that. But they're only getting the job because they used to play for the club. Specialism is what we need at that football club. Mark, we got destroyed by PSV and Ajax. That's got nothing to do with anything, Kashina. I don't know what you're talking about. We're talking about Ahmed Diallo going on loan to Feyenoord to play in the Dutch league when he could be playing in the Championship or in the Bundesliga. That's got nothing to do. Man United got beat by Ajax. What's that got to do with anything? I don't know what that's got to do with anything, to be honest with you. Bit of good news as well. I'm not getting into the conversation about the Eredivisie being on the same level as the Championship or the Premier League. You're having a bloody laugh. Ajax are a very good team, and I'd love them to win the Champions League. But we're talking about Feyenoord. Jones was and also what we're also talking about. Get your Pratt hat on and listen to this. Ajax are a good team. Maybe PSV. Maybe Feyenoord. Oh, is it a 3-team league? Is it? Name me every league in the Eredivisie. You won't be able to do it because it's full of pub teams. Not good enough. Jones was a CDM at Blackburn. Worth the punt, says Glenn. Be interesting to see what he says about Phil Jones in the press conference, actually. Thoughts on Ward-Prowse, Carrick Mould, get us 20 yards up the pitch in one pass, says Sanjit. I'm surprised nobody's ever gone for Ward-Prowse, Sanjit, but I don't think United would. Apparently, I think Villa wanted him, didn't they? United a tip to sign St Maximin as Newcastle need to sell to sign. Do they? Apollo? And if Rangnick starts Maguire, Rashid, McFred, it will really drive me crazy. Well, he can't start McFred, Abrunel, because McTominay is suspended, so he can't play. But I would expect to see Harry Maguire and Marcus Rashford starting. A bit of good news, Andreas Pereira wants to stay in Brazil. We do as well. I forgot about Pereira, so he's another player that's just seemed to be hanging around for bloody ages. And I don't know what he's doing in Brazil. I mean, he's playing football, but I don't know how well he's playing in Brazil. But by all means, stay. He's thinking about staying there. Please do. We'll take, pint of lager and a packet of crisps, or a Coke if you don't like lager. Anything. Just remove these type of players from our football club. I had high hopes for Andreas Pereira, and I don't hide away from them. I really thought he was going to be a good player, but ultimately, it's nothing personal. You're not good enough. You're taking up a wage. You're taking up a spot in the squad. I don't need pre-season Pereira again. We don't need this pre-season Pirlo guy again. We need him gone. Get him gone. He's definitely. I'd forgotten he was even here. So yeah, get him on the move. Palestri, says Charlie. Look, what was that signing all about? What was that Palestri? I mean, you could almost say, what was the Ahmed signing around? What was the idea around Palestri and Ahmed? Was it just desperation? We've messed up the Sancho deal. Let's get a couple of young players in to calm the fans. Because Ahmed, I knew a lot about, and obviously there was a lot of excitement around Ahmed. Palestri, I mean, what is he? Is he doing well on loan? I mean, it's just very odd signing with very little vision. Now, whether Rangnick is going to be there long enough to bring some vision to the Palestri signing, we'll have to wait and see. But it seems to me like Ollie had no plan for Palestri. It was like, let's just get him in. I'd love to see Hannibal involved, but of course he's involved in the AFCON as well, and Palestri hardly plays as well, says Bryn. Well, there you go. So we spoke about Ronaldo, we spoke about Donny, we spoke about the midfield signing, we spoke about Hendo. And we've spoken. Why have I wrote down? Oh no, I know what I've put there. Okay. I don't really want to talk about Pogba. I don't want to talk about Pogba there. There's no point. We're not going to talk about Pogba. No one wants to talk about Pogba, do they? I mean, he's not going to be fit for another month, and he's not going to sign a new contract before the end of the season anyway. Make sure you smash a like on the video, by the way. United would send Donny to the under-23s, and he's not doing very well, Palestri, says Psycho. I don't think he is getting much time at Alaves, Tim, to be fair. I haven't had a look. And what about Chong, says Miles. Well, I don't know what the situation is with Chong. He was doing very well at Birmingham, and then he picked up an injury. But I don't know whether he's back in training yet. But I'd get him back on loan if you could. We need Declan Rice, says Matty. I've got to be honest with you. I have always been a big fan of Declan Rice. And I don't know what you think. I'm a big fan of Declan Rice, but I don't want to sign Declan Rice. What? Well, the reason is, I feel like when you've had your fingers burnt once, you know, if you stick your finger in a fire and it burns, why would you go and stick your finger back in the fire again? But I think United have done it 3 times now. Aaron Wan-Bissaka, 50 million right back, overpriced. I like Wan-Bissaka, but massively overpriced. English tax. Harry Maguire, again, I think he's a decent centre-back, but 80 million. I think Arsenal got robbed for Ben White, but he's doing okay for Arsenal. But I think 50 million is a lot of money for a Brighton centre-back. 80 million pound for Harry Maguire, ridiculous. And then, to a certain extent, I think Jadon Sancho for 74 million, again. And it doesn't mean any of these players are bad. I'm not calling them flops. I like Wan-Bissaka. I think Maguire's decent when he gets himself sorted. And I really like Sancho. But there's over £200 million been spent on those 3 players. And then you want to spend another 80 on Rice. And I'm like, 280 million on Rice, Maguire, Wan-Bissaka and Sancho. Imagine what you could get for 280 million if they weren't English. And I think United need to move away from this. And that, to me, is why... Look, Declan Rice for 80 million, and then I'm going to watch maybe Chelsea get Tchouaméni for 30. And I'm like... And they've got 50 million more. We don't... What I'm trying to say is we don't need one player. We probably need 3 or 4. On what... I think we need 3 or 4 first-teamers to get us anywhere near good enough. And considering Ronaldo won't be here for in 2 years' time, that's 5. So... Spending 70, 80 million pounds on Declan Rice is such a United thing to do. They will do it because he's English and, you get loads of hype around it. But we need more than one player. And I like Declan Rice. But imagine you sign Declan Rice and then he pulls his hamstring and he's out for 6 weeks. You're 80 million and your midfielder's not there anymore. We need quality and we need quantity so that we can actually build a squad like Chelsea, like Man City. And... I do like Declan Rice, but not at that price. And for 80 million, you could get Tchouaméni and you could get Neves instead of Declan Rice. And that, for me, is what United need to do. Pereira is average at best. He's not doing great in Brazil either. He did a huge mistake in the Liberties final and cost Flamengo the game, says Cucino. Well, we don't want him back anyway. Let's get rid of him. So yeah, for me, I mean Basuma as well. Basuma is another player that you'd get for half the price. So I do like Declan Rice, and I think he's really, really good. But I think United need to back away from doing that. Robert McCormack says he's proven, though, we can't keep taking risks. Is he proven, though, mate? Is he proven more than Basuma is in the Premier League, who'll be half the price? Is he proven more than Neves, who'd be half the price? So I agree. I like him. Robert. I like Declan Rice. And I've said consistently on this channel I would go and buy him. But I think the last time I said go and buy him with real conviction was in the summer. I've learnt a lot this season about what the real issues are at Manchester United. And the real issues are the mentality of that squad is never going to be right. There's too many players in there with overflated egos on big money who aren't good enough. And one player's not going to change that. We need to... And also... Is bringing in an English player who gets on with our English players the right dynamic we need? I mean, look, I don't want to be stereotypical or throwing stones, but it's not a huge leap to consider that one of the cliques in the United dressing room that's a problem is the British clique. And you want to bring in another British player to empower it even more. I would rather we brought in a Neves and empower the the Portuguese clique, or or maybe bring in a Bissouma to empower the the non-British clique. We have got those cliques in the dressing room, and they can sort that out themselves. But you bring in Declan Rice in, you know exactly who he's going to be mates with. He's big mates with Harry and Luke Shaw and people like that. And nothing again. I like Luke Shaw, and Harry Maguire's not playing well, but I do like him. But we've got to, obviously, as fans, we shouldn't have to think of it like that. But the way the way the players have behaved over the last 2 weeks have opened our eyes up to the cliques in the dressing room. And it's like, do you want to bring a foreign player in, or do you want to bring in another British player in? And at the moment, I'm not sure I want to bring in an £80 million England international into that dressing room at the moment. But I do like Declan Rice, and he does have leadership capabilities. And in one way, Robert's right. He could come in and revolutionise that team. But I'll stick with what I said on purely monetary. I wouldn't want to spend £80 million on Declan Rice when I could get, Tchouaméni and Neves for the same price. I feel like Ralf is all talk and no action, so straight. Look at those ever comments that United were ready to give him sporting director role just after finishing coaching badges. Jobs for the boys. Oh, sure now. I've not seen those quotes, but it's ridiculous, if true. Column says, when we lose Cavani and Ronaldo in the summer because we miss out on top four, who would you bring in to replace them, says Column. We'll probably bring in Danny Ings, won't we? Because we won't be getting Erling Haaland. Let's be honest, Mark, there's nothing decent about Maguire. I swear he only had 2 or 3 good performances for the whole duration he was here. That's not decent. That's absolutely horrible. Get him out, says Rick James. And hi, Mark. Coming from Australia, the motivation to get up early to watch a United is seriously decreasing. The players' attitudes are appalling. Presh. I think tomorrow is going to be a very defining game against Aston Villa. They're going to be up for it. The crowd's going to be up for it. They play a decent brand of football, and we're either going to get absolutely not battered scoreline, but dominated in possession, or we're going to respond. So I'm looking forward to it. Just to defend Harry Maguire for a moment, let me just explain to you why Harry Maguire plays, how he plays badly and how he plays well. Now, let me just, just pretend Harry Maguire's in this team. If you put Harry Maguire in this team, he's going to struggle because they're going to get at him and he's exposed because the fullback's forward and the midfielders are too far away. And so is the centre-back. So Harry Maguire in this position, which is how Rangnick probably wants to play, is going to struggle, right? When Harry Maguire becomes a good defender, I've seen it for England and I've seen it for United. This is when Harry Maguire becomes a good defender. When his centre-back's close to him, when his full-backs are close to him, tucked in, and he's got a midfield 2 in front of him. This is where Harry Maguire becomes a good centre-back because crosses into the box is his forte. He's never going to get done by the ball over the top. And people running at him, he's got the fullback and the centre-back and the midfielder very, very close to him. And if you think about last season, Harry Maguire played very well between Christmas and the end of the season. And we were predominantly playing with McTominay and Fred in front of him and Luke Shaw tucking in. This season, Ollie tried to play more open. If you think about the game against Liverpool, he sort of went 4-2-4. And Leicester as well, we did that as well. And he got exposed. Maguire, I think people think Maguire is out of form. You can say that if you like. But the reality is with Harry Maguire, it's about system. You put Harry Maguire in you put Harry Maguire in a Newcastle team at the moment where they're trying to play and grind out results. I think he'd do very, very well for them. I think he'd be a brilliant player for Newcastle. In fact, get the checkbook out. You put Harry Maguire in a Liverpool side where they're playing a high line and they trust their centre-back's pace to get them out of trouble. Like Matip last night, he's got Nketiah running with one side, he's got Saka running the other, he's got his back to goal, it's a ball over the top, and he deals with it because he's quick. Maguire would be in all sorts of trouble there. A shit sandwich, basically, because he'd been in the shit. Harry Maguire is a good centre-back, but he's not a modern centre-back. If you think about Liverpool's four centre-backs, Matip, Van Dijk, Gomez, Konate, they're all quick. Thiago Silva's not particularly quick at Chelsea, but they play with a back 5, and that accommodates his pace with Rudiger and normally Azpilicueta next to him. Man City, again, they've got pace at the back. Manchester United, Maguire is not a modern day. I've said this about Maguire before. I don't see how Harry Maguire is. I don't think this is going to work. I don't think we're going to sell him, but I don't think it's going to work because he's not a modern day centre-back. He's never going to, what is he, 28? He's never going to find 2 yards apace. So the only way you're going to make Maguire work is if you play deep and you put a midfield that's deep with him. So, is it protecting him? You could say it's overprotecting him. I think what it's actually doing is it's playing to his strengths. You don't concede many goals when you play a deep line with Harry Maguire and fullbacks tucked in and the midfield too close to him. It's crap to watch. It's counter-attacking. It's what Ollie used to do. But you get the best out of Harry Maguire, and we don't tend to concede many goals. So I don't think Harry Maguire's a bad centre-back. I just think, as I said before, I think sometimes you've got to dive deep. And the reality is, Harry Maguire's never going to be able to play on the halfway line with Varane, letting his fullbacks get forward and his midfield get forward. Because one ball over the top, and unless Varane can help him out, or it's long enough for David De Gea to sweep a keep, he's in trouble. We are basically, if I'm blunt, handicapped by Harry Maguire. Because we want to play like Liverpool do. We want to play on the halfway line. We want to push our midfield and fullbacks forward like Liverpool do. That's what we want to do. To do that, you've got to have centre-backs like Varane and Eric Bailly. You've got to have a mobile pair of centre-backs. We don't have... He's not mobile. I feel like Ralf... I've done that one from Straight Talker. So, yeah, I mean, look... People want to... he'd be brilliant at Burnley, Vandy, and I don't think that's offensive. The way Burnley play, Harry Maguire would be probably their best player. And that's what I mean. There's a good player in Harry Maguire, but you've got to play with a system. Look at England. England, very negative side. Normally play with a back five. And he plays well. He's always got some... Maguire needs somebody close to him. So that... And then he plays more confidently because he knows if he makes a mistake, there's somebody there to cover that mistake for pace. So he can play more confidently. He's not useless. He's not a bad centre-back. He's just probably not going to suit the system we want to play. Harry Maguire is not a good defender, and that's a fact. I disagree, PJ. I think he is a good defender in the right system. But I don't think he's going to go anywhere. And PK's slow, but Barca plays a high line, says Anchor. Yeah, well, Barcelona are doing fantastic at the moment. And PK wasn't always slow. It's just his age now. Anyway, look, we could talk and talk and talk. We've got the Ralf Rangnick press conference at 1:30, so we'll be live straight after that with what he's got to say. Be interesting if it's anything like last week. I'd expect a few more questions. I actually would like a direct question to Rangnick about Zakaria. Those links are quite strong. Romano has said that we've spoken to him last month. There's German outlets saying that we've spoken to him now. I would like to see a direct question put to him about Zakaria and the midfield. We'll also get injury updates as well, and hopefully he'll probably be asked about Ronaldo's comments as well. And I think Rangnick could be very happy about Ronaldo's comments because they've really come at a time where it will be. Somebody said to me last night, "Do you think Rangnick will be angry about what Ronaldo said?" I think he'll be over the moon. Because everything Ronaldo said is about hard work, unity and professionalism, which is exactly what Rangnick said last week. But when you've got a key player in the dressing room coming out and saying it vindicates you and it gives you a public backing. So I think Rangnick will be very happy with what Ronaldo has said. Anyway, I've got my news for you. Two things. First of all, every 6 months, so summer transfer window and January transfer window, United Stand do our own recruitment drive. Obviously, last summer, I think we brought in Levin and Beth. Was Beth last summer or was she the January? But we always bring somebody in. So, United Stand, it's a community. Everybody is welcome. This role is a little bit more specific. We have got another role coming up in a couple of weeks towards the end of the transfer window. The email you need to send it to is that'sfootball@gmail.com. Just a little 1-minute clip of what you think's going on at United now. It can be about transfers. It can be about the way the club's going. It can be about top four. Get creative. Obviously, we'd prefer somebody who actually can set themselves up in a situation where they could come on the show and do it. So not on your phone with 480p. But this role will involve... It's probably going to be beneficial if you are Manchester based, simply because we're looking. I don't remember the Sander on the Streets. We're looking for some like an evolution of that show. So if you are Manchester local or you're at uni in Manchester, you're about to graduate from media or whatever like that. That's football@gmail.com. Get in contact with us. We have got other roles coming up. We're always looking for people and. We have got a lot of things coming up this year, so doesn't matter if you're worldwide, we will definitely be looking for people like that. But on this one, probably better if you are Manchester based. Send us a little clip in, that's football@gmail.com, just a minute, and we'll take a look at that. Also, as I said, press conference at 1:30, reaction will be around just before 2 o'clock. And please, please, please check the link in the video description. New Goldbridge Reacts. If you don't know about my channel, Goldbridge reacts to The Strangest Addiction Yet. It's a 10-minute video. Just check it out. Not football related. You might not be aware of that channel. I think you'll find it quite funny and enjoy it. The link's in the video description. Please check it out. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think. And if you've got any ideas for anything else you'd like me to react to, let me know in the comments of that video. Thanks everyone for watching. It's thatsfootball@gmail.com. If you're Manchester based and you want to get involved with the United Stand, send us a 1-minute clip. And please do check out that link in the video description. Thanks for watching. Speak to you all in a bit.